Okay, our last question. Is there anything you would like to say to those who are dealing with something difficult who might be watching this? I'm like, wow, how do you get that into words?
Yeah.
I'll start. We'd like to save you, and we can't. Grief group cannot save you. Your therapist cannot save you, but you can save you. And I found that out in my own journey, is that when you are willing to be the person that is there for you all along the way, and you are willing to be your hero, that is when you will set yourself free. And you will deal with more pain that will come, and you will know, I am capable and I can do this. But I would say to those people, know that you are your biggest advocate, and you need to be your biggest fan, because you can save you.
Thank you, Ria.
Yeah.
That was great advice.
If someone doesn't cry, it's really not grief group.
Right. I'm like, now I'm gonna have a turn and cry, because it's good to cry. It's good to get out the emotions. I cry when I'm super happy, and I cry when I'm super sad, and probably for a lot of other emotions, there's just a lot of tears. And I even debated, do I wear mascara today or not? But this is Zoom, so there's mascara on, and I'll try not to smear it before the end of the day. Loving yourself, accepting and loving yourself in all of the parts of you. If there's something that you have done that has caused some kind of pain, you can still love yourself, and you can forgive yourself, and you can forgive those around you, because it's not just you. When something happens, it's never all on one person. And so we have to love ourselves, and accept ourselves, and accept those around us and those people that are important to us.
Calista, you said a really important word that I'm going to kind of echo on, because I think it's something that's really important in this process. Forgiveness. Because there are a lot of times when you choose to not forgive someone, and it hurts you way more than it hurts anybody else. And so I just want to encourage you guys to forgive and let go, because you holding on to that is not good for you. And that doesn't mean, when you forgive someone, that doesn't mean that you let them come and hurt you again, or that you allow situations that you were in to repeat. But forgiving is letting go and choosing to let them have any more say over your emotions and your pain and in your life. And that is healthy to do. And that's okay to do. So give yourself permission to forgive, and know that that doesn't mean that what they did was not wrong, or that what the situation was by any means okay. But choosing to forgive is choosing to let go and say, you know what you did was wrong, but I'm choosing to let go of it. And I'm choosing to say, I forgive you. Because when we hold it on to ourselves, it just makes it so much worse and so much heavier and so much harder to carry. And also, in that, it's really part of loving yourself and loving others. We all make mistakes. And I know that I have hurt people most of the time unintentionally. I don't think most people go through life intending to hurt others. And sometimes situations, people make bad choices. We've all, I think, have made choices that we probably wouldn't go back and do again. And so I think being kind to yourself and offering forgiveness to others is huge in the grief process, and choosing to forgive others in that and forgive yourself is really important in healing.
I guess to expand on what Ashley said, this is a really hard question to answer, by the way. You have to forgive others, of course. And it doesn't necessarily need to be in a conversation. It doesn't need to be, Ria, I know you never asked for this, but I forgive you. I don't even need to have that conversation with you. It can just be within myself. But also to further expand on the issue of, forgiveness, You can cut out the toxicity in your life. You have the power and you have the choices of who you want to and who you do not want to keep in your life. There are some people that do not deserve that. You can forgive them, but they don't deserve to be in your life and they don't need to be. And that's something that I still struggle with today. There are certain people, and again, sometimes it has to be, sometimes it's even family or really close friends. But you just have to know, you know what? This person is not healthy for me, and I have to distance myself and not continue that relationship. And that's sometimes the best way that you can care for yourself. And
I think setting up healthy boundaries, Carolyn, is you're talking about setting up healthy boundaries for yourself with others and with yourself. If you start talking really negatively about yourself in your own head, you have to say, no, that's not allowed. People can't talk about me that way. Not even me.
Yeah. Imagine, think about the ways you speak to yourself. Would you say that to somebody else? Would you ever say the things that you say about yourself to one of your friends or your family members? You wouldn't do it. So don't let yourself do it either.
I think it's fair to say that all pain is real. Some people have these massive tragedies and we think, oh, they're really struggling. And some of us have smaller things. And we think, oh, well, my pain is nowhere near their pain. I don't deserve to receive the help. I don't deserve to talk it out. That's not true. It's like we all bleed red. All pain hurts. And if it's the smallest thing or the largest thing, it's irrelevant. You deserve to have your pain. You deserve to move through your pain and find help, however that is, for whatever the problem is. Sometimes in grief group, someone had catastrophic loss. Sometimes it was not catastrophic loss, but that person was still grieving. And that's so important to know that despite your problem, it is still relevant and important to work through it.
It's not a competition.
No. Don't compare.
Yeah.
Well, and I think the great thing about grief group was that everybody could share, and no matter what level of grief you were going through, it was respected, and you really got to be heard, and you got to go through that, and there were people there to support you. So that's one of the beauties of grief group, and I think something that taught me a lot for myself going forward, and that I've used a lot in my adult life, is it doesn't matter the size of your grief. We all grieve. We all go through different grief throughout our lives in different ways, and it's all worthy of you're worthy of support.
And I would say just one last thing is I think goal setting is really important, especially if you're in a dark place right now and that is not where you want to stay, or you're in I'm not sure what to do with my life right now. You write it down of where you want to be, of what you want to do. And just verbalizing that and getting that out there in the universe is going to make a huge impact. And you can sometimes look back on those lists years later and go, wow, I checked off a lot of those boxes and I didn't even know it. So I think putting down on paper what you want to do helps guide your vision, because sometimes we lose sight of where we're going and we need to be refocused ourselves.
Yeah. And sometimes you can look at that list and go, hey, I don't want to be there anymore. And you make a new list.
Yeah. Yes. So thank you, ladies, for joining us today. And thank you, Tom, for being who you were in our lives, because you affected us, which affected our families, who knows how far the ripple of what Tom started went. I think it went big. There was a better word than big, but
you don't have it right now. Well, and I want to say, I ran into Tom. So we were class of 2004. It's been a long time since we've been in high school. And I ran into Tom a couple of years ago. And when I saw him, I didn't recognize him immediately, not because he'd even changed that much, but he knew who I was immediately. And I just saw him and I went, here is a familiar, warm and loving face. How do I know him? And it took me, a little bit of time before I was like, oh, Tom, grief group. And I had forgotten that we had all gone to grief group. Like, it was kind of just something that was like, I'd forgotten a lot of high school. And it all kind of came back to me, and I started thinking about it. And I really thought a lot more about it since I ran into him, and what it has offered to my life and affected me in ways that I wouldn't have even been able to say, to have that support and to be able to have someone to talk with and to learn how to talk, I think was a huge part of it.
might consciously forget some of the lessons you learned, but you don't forget them. Like the things that we all ended up learning in grief group and a lot of the things that we worked through, those stay with you. I mean, we're all here in our, mid 30s talking about, the ways that it's still, working in our lives. So it works.
Definitely. Well, I think we're done. Are we
Shall
done?
we all wave?
Okay.
Bye.
Okay, I'm going to